In this video, we will create our first ETL pipeline using Azure Data Factory. This is part of a new video series dedicated to Azure Data Factory, so feel free to share it with your friends and colleagues who are interested in data engineering or data analytics. Master AI effortlessly with our channel, covering Python, free AI tools, data engineering, generative AI, cloud fundamentals, and more, perfect for beginners, researchers, academics, and professionals. Subscribe now, hit like, and share with your friends and colleagues to stay ahead in the AI revolution. We have data stored in an Azure Blob Storage account, and our goal is to load it into a database. This is a fundamental ETL scenario. In my previous introduction video, I explained the steps to create an Azure Data Factory. By now, I hope you have already completed that setup. Once we launch Azure Data Factory, we need two key components to connect to any data source: Linked Service and Dataset. Linked Service acts as a bridge that connects Azure Data Factory to an entire storage account or database. Dataset refers to a specific table or a portion of data within the linked service. For the target destination, the setup is similar. Linked Service connects Azure Data Factory to the target storage or database. Dataset specifies the table or data segment where information will be loaded. Once the linked services and datasets are set up, the next step is to create an activity. The activity determines how data will be processed. In this case, we need to extract data from the source and load it into the target. This activity is created inside the pipeline, which serves as the top-level structure for data movement and transformations. Pipeline is the main workflow that orchestrates data processing. Activity defines the action to be performed within the pipeline. Transformations and operations are various tasks that manipulate or move data. To begin, we will use the copy activity, which enables seamless data transfer from the source to the target. Once these components are in place, data movement becomes straightforward. This is exactly what we will cover in this video. Let's get started. We are now here in our Azure portal, and this time we will create a storage account to store our raw data. Let us type in the search bar to find storage account if we are doing it for the first time. We can hit create from here to initiate creation of storage account. This is our free trial subscription and resource group which we have already created. We are providing a unique name now to the storage account. Our region is Central India, as I am in India. Let us leave rest of the options as default and hit next. We are leaving all the options as default for now and keep on clicking next until you reach review and create. Click review and create and wait for some time. Now click create to start deployment. Deployment is now in progress and it will be completed shortly. Here is our storage account. Let us click on it. We will now create containers which are logical units within a blob storage account that organize and store files, documents, or unstructured data. Provide a unique name to the container. Click Create and your container is now ready. You can upload your data files in it. We are using two datasets for this session. This one is the sales data. And this one, as you can see on your screen, is product data. Let us now click on our newly created container. click the Upload button to browse and load the data we have. The data is successfully uploaded. Now, we will proceed with creating SQL Server instance. Since we currently do not have an SQL Server database, let's quickly create one in a few minutes so we can move forward. Let us search for SQL database in the search bar. From the available options, click on SQL database to start the setup. We can click Create to initiate the setup from either of the options. We have our free tier subscription already selected. Let us now select our resource group, which is already there in place and created by us. Now we have to provide a unique name for the database. Since we do not have any server already created, we have to click Create New. Let us now provide a unique name to the server. The location for me is the same Central India. Choose an authentication method. SQL authentication is commonly used. Set the server admin credentials, ensuring a secure yet memorable password. Click OK. Let us retain the rest of the things as default and workload environment as development. We have here different options for backup storage. We are moving ahead with the default one, which is geo-redundant backup storage for now. Click Next and the estimated cost for the service will be displayed. Ensure it aligns with your budget before proceeding. We will retain the rest of the options as default while clicking Next to reach Review and Create. Click Review and Create now. Now click Create and wait for the deployment to get completed. Provisioning of both the SQL Server and the database is in progress. The deployment will take some time to get completed. You can monitor the progress in the notification section of the Azure portal. Once completed, you will receive a confirmation message indicating that the resources have been successfully created. The deployment is now done for both the SQL Server and the database. Let's verify the deployment by checking the resource group. As you can see, both the SQL Server and the database have been successfully created. All our necessary resources are ready and present now inside our created resource group. Let's proceed to Azure Data Factory and launch the instance we created in our previous video. Since this is our first time launching it, let's explore its interface and initial setup. You will see options such as Copy Data at Scale, Orchestrate for code-free data pipelines, Transform data, and so on, which we will explore in detail later. Here are other options like Home button, Author, Monitor, Manage and Learning Center. These options are having different usage in Data Factory. Let us now click on Manage option. First, let's create a linked service to connect our data source. Our data resides in Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. Click New. Our source data is in Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. We will select the option by typing storage in the search bar. Click on Continue. We are retaining the default name of the linked service. Let us now select our free subscription followed by storage account name. Click Continue and as shown on your screen, the linked service is ready for the source. Now by clicking New, we have to create the linked service for the destination, which is a SQL database. Choose Azure SQL database once it appears and click Continue. This time, we are renaming the destination linked service as Staging LS. We choose our free subscription option here. Now we have to choose our server name, which we have already created earlier. Now choose the database which is already created and hence appear here. Use SQL authentication, entering the username and the password we set earlier. Now let us test the connection of the linked service that we have created. As you see, the connection failed. Let us investigate and resolve the error. To resolve the error, let us click the Home button. Click the resource group and then click on SQL Server. Click on Security and then on Networking. Choose Selected Networks and then go down and then select Allow Azure Services and Resources to access the server. Click Save and you will see that the Access option is updated. Now let us go back and once again check the connection. This time you will see that the connection is successful. Click Create and the linked service for the destination named Staging LS is now created and ready. Now let us click on the Author button. The different factory resources are enlisted here: Pipeline, Change Data Capture, Dataset, Data Flows and Power Query. Now we need to create the pipeline. Right-click on the three dots and click on New Pipeline to create a blank pipeline. You will now see the Pipeline Editor screen where you can configure your workflow. On the left panel, you will find a variety of activities that can be performed, including data movement, transformation, and orchestration tasks. Today, we will be performing the copy data operation. Once you select the copy data activity, there are several parameters in copy data activity, starting with General, then Source, in which we have to select a source dataset, followed by Sync, where we have to select a target dataset to continue, Mappings, Settings, and User Properties. Two key components in the copy data activity are Source and Sync. Let us start creating a source dataset. Click on New Dataset. Type here Storage and select Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. Click Continue. Our datasets are CSV dataset as shown earlier. There are other options as well. For now, select Delimited Text. Click Continue. For now, we are retaining the default name for the dataset. Select your existing linked service you have already created for the source dataset. Since the first row of our dataset contains headers, we will keep the first row as header checkbox selected. Next, we need to specify the file path from which the dataset will be fetched. Click on the folder icon next to the file path field. You get an error here which now needs to be resolved. The error is that the endpoints does not support blob storage events or soft delete. I am intentionally showing you the errors so that you can debug the same on your own when you practice. Let us now click on the Home button. Again, let us navigate to Storage account. Go down and click on Data Management. Now click on Data Protection. Uncheck Enable Soft Delete for blobs, followed by uncheck Enable Soft Delete for containers. Click the Save button and the data protection setting will be successfully updated. Now again click on the folder icon. This time you can see the container we have created. Click on it and select the sales data file. Now the file path is updated. Click OK. Here is your source dataset which is now ready. Now we have to create the sync dataset. Again click on New Dataset. Select Azure SQL Database once it appears and then click Continue. Select the linked service already created for the sync dataset and click OK. Now, we need to provide a table name. Check the box beside Enter manually. While this step is not mandatory, it is required for validation to proceed successfully. The name we have provided is DBO Sales Data. So now we have both our sync and source dataset ready. Let us now go back to our pipeline. Provide here the path to the source dataset created just now in previous steps. Select delimited text, which we have selected as the type of our source data. Left other options default. Now we come to sync. Here select Azure SQL Table 1 as the type of the sync or the target dataset. Since the table is not existing, select the option for Auto Create Table. Now we are ready to proceed with the copy data activity from source to sync. Click Debug to initiate the activity. As seen on your screen, the activity is initiated and now queued. Let's wait for some time for it to complete. The output result shows that the activity is now successfully completed. Now, it's time to log in and verify whether the data has been successfully loaded into the database. Open the query editor and connect using your authentication method. There are different ways to query the database, but for now, we will use the built-in query tool available in Azure. Log into the Azure portal with the credentials we have created earlier. Here we get an error. To resolve this, just click on Allow IP in Server and click OK. Now let us check whether our data is properly loaded to target or the sync. Run a select query on the target table to check if the data has been loaded successfully. Running of the select query and the subsequent output of the sales data confirm that the data has been successfully loaded in the target table. Quick recap of what we did. We had files stored in an Azure storage account. Since we didn't have an existing SQL server, we created a new SQL server and a database. Created linked services and datasets for the storage account. Created linked services and datasets for the SQL table. Inside Azure Data Factory, we created a pipeline. Added a copy data activity, which took a file from the storage account and loaded it into a SQL server table. Do we need to recreate everything for another table to be loaded? Let us now see that. We have taken another copy data activity in the same pipeline we have used for the earlier one. Renaming of pipeline is done under General tab. The earlier pipeline is named as Sales Data and the one created just now is named as Product Data. Renaming is essential to avoid any confusions with growing number of activities and are best practices followed in industry projects. Now let us select our source dataset. Existing options are of the earlier pipeline and hence we will not be selecting them. We have to create new dataset for this new activity. We will create the source dataset the same way by selecting Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. Click Continue and select Delimited Text. The steps are same as before for selecting source dataset. Select the same linked service that was used for the previous copy data activity. We can reuse it without needing to create a new one. Select the product dataset this time for the source and click on OK. The path to source dataset is now clearly displayed. Click OK and we are done with creating the source data. Now, just like the earlier steps for creating the sink, let's repeat the same process for the new table. Select the SQL database option once it appears on your screen and then click Continue. Select the Sync Linked Service Staging LS, which we have already created earlier. Provide the table name here manually for validation purpose as before. The name is DBO product. Now select None and click OK. Since the sync or the target table does not exist yet, we select the Auto Create Table option to generate it automatically. We are now ready to hit the Debug button to initiate the copy activity. Here, we need to consider an important point. The earlier copy data activity is still active, and when we click the Debug button, it will rerun along with the new one. This means the same data will be copied again into the previous target table, leading to duplicate entries. Disable the previous copy data activity. Right-click and choose Deactivate. Now select the product data activity and click the Debug button. As shown on the screen, Sales Data Copy activity remains inactive while Product Data Copy activity is now queued for execution. The output shows that the copy activity is successfully completed. Let us now check here by hitting the refresh button whether the target dataset is uploaded in the sync or not. Here is our new target dataset DBO product. Let us run a select query to check the data in the newly loaded target dataset. The output is displaying the list of products and other subsequent details present in the dataset. Now, let us reactivate the earlier copy data activity to ensure it is available for future executions. This brings us to the end of this tutorial. Hope you have enjoyed the session.
If you found this tutorial helpful, like this video, subscribe for more AI tips, and share it with a friend. Check the description for links to our Udemy course for automating your daily tasks with generative AI, and I'll see you in the next video.